So welcome everybody. Good to see you all. So why don't we go ahead and begin by just kind of arriving, and we'll do a sit first. So go ahead and find a comfortable position for yourself, and feel free if you need to shift while we're sitting. Always welcome to do that. And if you choose to lay down for your sit, just make sure that you have a pillow or something under your knees, some kind of bolster, so that your lower back will drop and you'll feel more comfortable. So you can go ahead by beginning to close your eyes, or if that's not comfortable for you, you can look at the floor in front of you, about 3 or 4 feet in front, with just a very soft gaze. And this is just so we're not stimulated into thinking by looking around. And just take a couple of breaths just to allow yourself to arrive here. Just kind of breathing out, letting go of the day. And take a moment to just notice how you are in this moment. Just doing a little light body scan, noticing how your body feels in this moment. Taking a moment to notice just how your mind is in this moment, how it's showing up, busy, relaxed, tired. And also just noticing your heart, your emotions today, just your tonal quality, your mood. It may have changed many times during the day, but just noticing how it is right here, right now. And whatever you find, notice what it's like if you simply allow it, if you make space for this. You may notice that sensations feel a little softer, or there's less tension, just by simply allowing and meeting ourselves with some gentleness. And then remembering that whatever is here is part of a changing flow. And so we don't want to hold on to it. We don't want to grasp it. But we want to allow this energy to rise off the body, to move out. We just let go of it. If it's a lot of energy, imagine you're in a beautiful open space, a beach or a meadow. Just give it more room. And again, notice what it's like when you just allow this energy to move and you're not clinging to it or bracing against it. If you like, you can breathe it out with the out breath, if that's easier. And by doing this, we're allowing ourselves to empty out the day. No need to hold on to anything extra. Letting it all go. And as you're emptying, allow yourself to notice some place in the body where it's comfortable or spacious or quiet. And allow yourself to begin just breathing into that quiet space, breathing into the comfort. Doesn't matter how big or small it is. And just letting it get as big as it wants. This part of me is here too. the quiet underneath all the noise and the busyness. And let yourself become it. Let go of stories, time, let go of your body for a moment, and just let this quiet be your body. So the comfort or the quiet is breathing. Touching into our essential nature. Who we are without all the noise and busyness. I remember this part of me. If thoughts begin again, just gently breathe them out. And as you feel empty, just begin breathing into the quiet or the comfort. Coming home again. So nice to come home to that quiet underneath all the noise, to come back to our center again. So as I was watching the world this week and watching what was coming up on various meetings and circles that I was a part of this week, one of the things that I kept hearing over and over again was this call that started coming out, particularly from Black organizers in terms of the racial movement that's happening on the planet, and then repeated by many other people, about this idea of the difference between symbolic gestures and substantive action. And so a lot of people were starting to notice that there were lots of symbolic gestures happening, but where was the action happening? You know, were people actually doing actions that could make change in the world? And so, to me, this idea of gestures versus actions applies not only to this piece, this opportunity that we have right now in the world around, you know, the change that's possible here, but also our own practice, our own life. Like whether we have a mindfulness practice, or we're trying to lose weight or get healthy, whatever kind of change we're trying to make in our life, the truth is that it doesn't really work with symbolic gesture. It takes real action to have that happen. Otherwise, we don't see the change we're looking for. So the symbolic gestures are things like clicking like on Facebook, you know, or making an intention like I'm going to sit every day. You know, yeah, I bought a cushion and okay, I put it up and I want to sit every day, but your cushion is sitting there kind of lonely. You know, maybe it doesn't see you that often, who knows. It's also things like I'm going to take that class, whether it's I want to take a class on mindfulness or I want to take a class on race and learn about all this racism stuff that's up. I'm going to read that book, right? So we have all these intentions, these beautiful gestures that we want to do, but actually getting them into action is a different thing sometimes. So if we just do the gesture, we're not transformed, and the world is not transformed. Yeah. So, you know, I was looking at that this week, both in myself and listening to others. And when we look at what gets in the way of our action, a lot of times what you hear people say is that there's apathy or people don't care. And I've seen some people get pretty hot judging others about, well, you don't care, because if you cared, you would do something. But when you actually unwind it in people or unwind it in yourself, most of the time what I find is that people care, they care a lot, but what actually stops us is fear. That we want to go forward and do something, we want to make that change, and then as we start to do so, there's a freeze. You know, we get distracted. It's like, oh, I'm going to do it after I have lunch, and then it doesn't happen. So, you know, I found this one quote that I thought was great. This is from Leo Tolstoy, and he says, "Everyone thinks of changing the world, but no one thinks of changing him or herself." And I think that there's some truth to that, because there's almost this idea that, well, if they change, then I'll go. If they do, if my friends do it, if people around me do it, if those people that are acting out change, then the world is going to be awesome. And it really doesn't work that way. It takes us to do this change. So what helps us get in touch with being able to do this? And, you know, the big piece for me is that we have to be willing to face fear. We have to be willing to face discomfort. We have to get skillful at knowing how to deal with discomfort and fear when it comes up. And we have to also recognize it. Sometimes we don't even recognize it's fear. We think it's boredom or apathy or I'm hungry or I need to go for a run first. And so these ideas that we get to know fear, we get to see it, recognize it, we make friends with discomfort. Discomfort can't be something we turn away from. We have to understand that discomfort is actually part of the path. It's part of waking up. It's part of becoming a better human being. It's part of growth. And so we want to make friends with this part of ourselves. We want to make friends with this part of the path that we're on if we're going to actually be a part of growth and change. So I was thinking about, okay, so how do we do that? How do we make friends and become skillful so that our wishes, our gestures, our intentions actually turn into action? The first thing is, to recognize what we're afraid of. I think that's the first thing we need to do. And oftentimes we won't know until we actually try to act. You make an intention, you say, okay, I'm going to call my congressman today. And it's great, it's a great gesture, but it's only in the sitting down to make the call that you actually feel yourself get hot, you feel some panic, you can feel what's starting to happen inside. And so there's this way in which we have to be mindful of, oh, okay, it's happening right here. It's happening right here. So we might be afraid of things like, I'm afraid of messing up. I'm afraid I won't sound intelligent. I'm afraid I won't know what to do once I get there. I'm afraid of being judged or shamed. All kinds of fears can come up when we're trying to do an action. So we want some kind of practice that we can do that can help us right there in that freeze, so that that isn't the end of the story. We don't not call our congressman, or we don't say something to our cousin who's being really racist in that moment because we're scared. It's like, no, we have to have an actual practice to be able to do that. So I want to outline a practice that I think is really helpful, but I'm going to invite you to actually just do it as a little bit of an exercise. So if you go ahead and just close your eyes for a moment and let yourself call up something you've been afraid to do. Maybe you've been afraid to get involved in this race work or to confront someone that you need to confront, talk to them at work, or talk to them about a need you have. And take a moment to just feel the discomfort. Imagine doing it, doing this action. Notice what happens in your body and your mind. You might notice some heat or bracing, or your mind starts to race. This is just noticing the discomfort. Oh, this is what it's like. And we just be gentle with ourselves here. And the first thing I want you to notice is, imagine what happens if you remind yourself that the reason you want to do this is from a good intention. I have a good intention here. I'm trying to help. I'm trying to grow. I just want to stop this harm that I see. And notice what that's like when you remember, oh yeah, the reason I'm doing this is because of my good intention. My intention is to help. to be of service. And now the second thing is allow yourself to make mistakes. I know I'm going to make mistakes. There's things I'm not going to know. And that's okay. I'm new at this. And so I'll get some parts wrong. I'll say something wrong. I'll put my foot in my mouth. It's kind of inevitable. And just notice what that's like if you allow yourself to make mistakes and not know. To not do it perfectly. And notice what happens if you also become aware that I'm learning. I am learning. I'm allowed to learn, be a student. This is part of my learning. I'll be better at this a year from now. And just feel what that's like. And then any extra energy, any fear that you're feeling, let yourself remember that you can let it rise off your body. It can bubble out. And so any extra energy you're feeling, just let it rise off. You don't have to hold on to it, brace against it. Just let it begin to flow. If you're really scared, imagine you're in a very wide, open, natural space, like a meadow. And notice what that's like when you don't hold on to this fear. And you might do this one for a little while if you have a lot of fear. Or you may say loving kindness for yourself, being gentle, caring. And then imagine doing the act. Don't think, just do it. Pick up the phone, write the email that says, hey, can I talk to you? Sign up for the class. Ask your boss for that talk. Do you mind if I meet with you this week? Don't think, just do it. And then let go of the outcome. Again, just circling back to your good intention, not controlling the outcome. My intention here was to help, however it goes, resting in our good intention. And notice how that feels. resting in our inherent goodness. So this idea that we rest in our good intention, right? That we allow that we're going to make mistakes, that we remind ourselves that we're learning. It's okay to be learning. You know, sometimes I enter these circles and people are like, why are you here? And I'm like, I'm here to learn. I'm here to learn. And boy, does that take the tension down when someone hears, particularly in these racism circles right now. If I say I'm here to learn, the room kind of quiets. It's quite beautiful. The idea that I'm actively letting the energy off my body as it's arising. Sometimes while I'm just sitting there in the circle or in the conversation, I'm literally aware that energy is pouring off my body and I let it do it. I might breathe into some loving kindness for a moment, right there in the middle of it. And then this idea of act and don't think. So important to just act without thinking, because the thinking is where all the outcomes and the stories and the yeah buts are. So just act, don't think. Just dial the number. I don't even know what I'm going to say. Dial the number. Call your congressman. I don't know what I'm going to say. Just dial the number. And then someone goes, hello, and you're like, I wanted the senator to know, whatever it might be, right? So there's a couple of quotes here that I just love. A flower does not think of competing with the flower next to it. It just blooms. Right? So there's no competition, there's no judgment here. And this quote by Rumi, behead yourself. I love that. Just get rid of your head. There's where the problem is. You're thinking too much. Just act, go, trust your heart, trust your learning. It'll be okay. So, so I hope that this is helpful to your practice. You know, I found this quote by Heinrich Zimmer. He said, knowledge is the reward of action. For it is by doing things that one becomes transformed. So whether it's you want to change a bad habit, you want to go exercise, this can apply to anything. Exercising, eating healthy, doing your meditation. You know, I'm going to make a commitment to get on that cushion every day, even if it's for just 10 minutes, just 5 minutes. I had one teacher who said he made a commitment once early in his mindfulness practice to just get his butt on his cushion. That was the only thing he promised himself. His butt had to touch the cushion. And if he did that, he could get up. He said, but most of the time I stayed, at least 10 minutes and when he was beginning. So I think that's great. And it's in that action that the transformation begins to happen. You go for the walk every night after dinner, and all of a sudden you're losing weight, or you can feel yourself toning up. You make one call to a senator, and then another, and then another, and another. And the next thing you know, you're really comfortable calling your senators and your congressmen or whoever it is, your city council. Now you're acting. Now you're not in symbolic gesture. You're actually doing the action, which is beautiful. So, there's this quote, the most important point is to accept yourself and stand on your own 2 feet. To accept yourself and just stand on your own 2 feet. The truth is, the world is begging to change right now. And we need you. We need you. Everyone has their own unique gift here. Some will protest, some will make calls, some will talk to their family members, some will get educated and informed so that they can have wisdom. Some will practice on their cushion to be more mindful so that they're not so activated in the world. Whatever you're called to do, we need it. We need you. But you have to get past this fear of action. You have to trust yourself. So, so let's just take a moment for a mindful moment. So you can close your eyes if you like. May the work that we do here and in our lives, may it inspire us and support us into action, real action that brings us the joy, the awakening, the love that we're looking for, the peace that we're looking for in our own life. And may it ripple out so that others know this peace. Others are touched by the work we're doing. And that ultimately all beings can know peace in themselves, happiness, and to lose the fear that stops them from acting. And here's a final quote. Did I offer peace today? Did I bring a smile to someone's face? Did I say some words of healing? Did I let go of my anger and resentment? Did I forgive someone? Did I love today? These are real questions. I must trust that the little bit of love that I sow now will bear many fruits here in this world and in the life to come. So lovely sitting with all of you, and hope this is of help to your practice and the actions that your heart wants you to take. So good luck with your actions. Maybe you can make a commitment today or tomorrow to do some kind of action just so you can practice.